The frontier moon of Lyria IV was quiet before the conflict began. Its silver plains shimmered under twin suns, and its forests sang with life. For years, both humans and the Lyran people shared its surface in a tense but stable division. Each side built outposts far apart, and both prayed the bitter peace would hold. Yet miscommunication had always hovered like a shadow. Patrols grew more frequent. Skirmishes sparked. Rumors of betrayal multiplied. Then a sudden clash on the northern plateau shattered the last fragile thread. At the heart of this rising storm stood a human soldier named Adam. He had been stationed on Lyria IV for months, serving as a field escort and mediator because of his calm approach to danger. He was known for stepping between arguments, calming restless teams, and offering help even to those who distrusted his kind. On a world filled with suspicion, he was the rare force that kept things steady. One morning, during a survey run, an unexpected flare lit the sky. Adam and his team rushed toward the smoke, expecting damaged equipment or a crashed drone. What they found instead was a ruined Lyran scout pod, crumpled against a ridge. But the discovery that halted Adam's breath was not the wreck. It was the small Lyran child trapped beneath a half-collapsed support beam. The child's pale skin glowed faintly in fear, and its silver eyes darted across the terrain as if expecting more disaster. Adam moved first. While others hesitated, unsure whether aiding an alien child was permitted during the tense standoff, he dropped his pack and sprinted forward. The child whimpered, covering its face with trembling hands. Adam crouched beside it and whispered in a steady voice, knowing sound and tone mattered more than words. He pushed against the beam with all his strength, lifting it just enough to pull the child free. But as he reached for the small figure, the sky erupted again. A second explosion struck the ridge behind them. Shrapnel sprayed the air. Adam turned his back to the child and wrapped his arms around it, shielding the fragile body with his own. The detonation rocked the ground. Heat blasted his shoulders. The tremor knocked him to his knees, but he held the child close, refusing to loosen his grip. When the smoke thinned, his teammates shouted for him to fall back. Yet he stayed down until the last fragments stopped falling. Only then did he loosen his arms. The child stared at him with wide, bewildered eyes. It touched his sleeve with a shaking hand, as if trying to understand why an enemy had taken the blast for a dot by the time a rescue beacon activated on the horizon. Adam had already called for a ceasefire channel. The Lyran forces arrived minutes later, led by a tall armored captain who ran directly to the child. Adam stepped aside calmly, his uniform scorched, but the captain did not thank him. Instead, she lifted the child and hurried away, leaving Adam with nothing but a nod of acknowledgement. His teammates whispered among themselves, praising his bravery, but he felt no pride. He had simply done what he believed was right. 2 days later, the Lyran delegation arrived at the human command post with an unexpected request. They asked for Adam to be present in their hall. Rumors streaked across the human camp. Some thought it was an accusation. Some thought it was an award. Some thought it was a trap. Adam was not sure what to expect, but he agreed to go. If his actions had caused confusion, he would answer for them. The Lyran Hall was a crystalline chamber carved within a natural cavern. Light traveled along the walls like flowing water. At its center stood the same child he had protected, now holding a soft glowing sphere. Beside the child stood its mother, a high officer named Lyra. Her posture was rigid, her eyes sharp, yet there was a weight to her expression that suggested deep reflection. Adam bowed slightly in greeting. Lyra studied him for a long moment before speaking. Her voice resonated like wind through metal. She asked him why he had shielded her child with his body. Her words were calm, but carried a tension that made every soldier in the room still their breathing. Adam answered simply, He said that a child was a child, not an enemy. He said he reacted as any decent person should. He said no one should die because of misunderstanding or fear. His answer stirred murmurs through the chamber. Lyra kept her gaze on him, unblinking, as if analyzing every fiber of his sincerity. Then she announced something unexpected. By the customs of her people, she said, any guardian who risked themselves to protect a youngling was owed a bond of honor. It was an old vow, rarely invoked in interspecies matters. A guardian bond forged trust between families. In extreme cases, it created alliances far stronger than treaties. Her words shook the hall. Even Adam could feel the shift in the air. She said her child had chosen Adam. The youngling had whispered his name during the night, tracing patterns that indicated recognition and safety. Because of this, she believed Adam must be acknowledged, respected, and welcomed among them. Some human officers exchanged wary glances. A few Lyran guards shifted in uncertainty, but Lyra ignored all of them. She stepped toward Adam with deliberate calm. She declared that she wished to claim him under their law, not as property, but as an honored protector whose life would be tied to the survival of her child. This was a sacred act among the Lyran, one that created mutual responsibility. Adam felt a rush of unease. He did not expect this. He had only protected a vulnerable life. He had not asked for bonds or titles or expectations. He told Lyra politely that he honored her customs, but did not understand them well enough to commit blindly. Lyra listened, nodding slowly. She said she understood his hesitation, yet she insisted he hear the full meaning. If he accepted the bond, he would be regarded as part of their lineage and spirit. He would gain the authority to speak for the child's safety in future agreements. He would be invited into their inner circles, trusted beyond rank or nationality. And she, as the child's mother, would treat him with the same regard she would give any guardian of her bloodline. Some whispered that her tone suggested something deeper, some unspoken intention, for her gaze lingered on Adam with uncommon intensity. Adam remained thoughtful. He asked what this would mean for relations between their peoples. Lyra said his act had already traveled through their networks, softening hearts that once believed humans cared only for survival. His choice had created a new story among them, one of empathy in the face of conflict. If he embraced their bond, it might shift the tides toward cooperation rather than war. Adam asked for time. Lyra agreed, although her expression showed clear hope. She offered him a place in their hall and invited him to speak with the child again. When Adam approached the youngling, it reached toward him without fear. Its silver eyes glowed warmly. It touched his hand and held on, small fingers clasping with surprising strength. In that moment, Adam saw not alien features, but a life that trusted him completely. He spent the next day in careful thought. He walked the edge of the human encampment, listening to conversations. Many admired his resolve. Some warned him that accepting such a bond could complicate alliances. Others said it might be the only chance to bridge the divide. Adam considered the weight of responsibility. He had not become a soldier for glory or power. He had joined to prevent senseless destruction. If his choice could calm rising tensions, then perhaps this path was meant for him. He returned to the Lyran cavern at dusk. The hall held its breath as he entered. Lyra stood with her child at her side. Adam placed a hand over his heart, the human gesture of sincerity, and said he would accept the bond if it truly served peace. Lyra bowed her head with solemn grace. The child pressed the glowing sphere into Adam's palms. The sphere folded gently, releasing soft ribbons of light that wrapped around his hands like warm air. The Lyran crowd murmured in awe. The bond was accepted. From that day forward, Adam lived between both worlds. He trained with Lyran guardians, learning their customs and symbols. He attended human briefings, explaining Lyran intentions in clear terms. He mediated disputes with a calm that earned respect on all sides. The child followed him during visits, observing his movements with curiosity. Lyra often joined them, engaging him in conversation about their worlds, their philosophies, and their hopes for the future. Over time, she grew less formal with him. Her strict officer mask softened whenever he entered the room. She spoke to him with sincerity rather than protocol. She asked about his past and listened intently to his answers. Adam found himself understanding her more with each passing day. Her strength came not from command, but from fierce devotion to her child and her people. Her respect for him deepened, and he sensed something shifting within her gaze. It was not possessive, but it held a yearning to understand him more deeply. But peace was never simple. Months later, a rogue faction attempted to sabotage the fragile harmony. They attacked a neutral zone outpost, threatening to reignite the conflict. Adam and Lyra responded together. They traveled to the frontier with a mixed unit of both species. Adam spoke directly to the rebels, reminding them that ancient fear should not dictate the future. His words resonated with more force than expected. His bond with Lyra's child had become a well-known tale, a living example of trust. Many rebels lowered their weapons that day. After the crisis faded, Lyra approached Adam privately. She told him that her child still spoke of him before sleep, calling him guardian. She said the bond had strengthened her own view of humans, showing her their compassion.